Now, Billam Smith and Riziki did not just have a fight, they had a war. Rozicki came forward like a man possessed, throwing ridiculous volume, absorbing brutal counters, and refusing to break. But Billam Smith stayed intelligent, stayed disciplined, and found the finishing moments. Was this the fight of the year? It might honestly be in that conversation. So in this video, I want to talk about the Billam Smith and Riziki fight, because this was one of the most intense fights that I have seen this year. I want to break down the pressure. I want to break down the counters. I want to break down the momentum shifts and why this fight was so entertaining. So Billam Smith and Riziki, apologies if the pronunciation is wrong, they gave us something. They gave us something brutal, something chaotic, and something beautiful. Now, when I saw the face-off, I was intrigued by this fight because you could feel the tension. You could feel Roziki's energy. You could feel that he was not just coming to survive. He was coming to fight. And in the first round, that is exactly what happened immediately. Now, Rozicki came out ferocious. He brought passion, aggression, and absolutely ridiculous volume. This was ridiculous. He was throwing so many punches that Billam Smith had to be defensively responsible. He had to be focused straight away. But this is where Smith showed his boxing intelligence, because he was not panicking. He was not just covering up. He was walking Rozicki into counters, finding those counter-punching windows. And those counter-punching windows are important. And he stayed disciplined under pressure while the crowd reacted loudly. Now, Rozicki's pressure, let's be honest, it was not clean. It was not clean, but it was brutal. And in some ways, it was effective. He was using his head in round 1 and 2. And he was like putting the head on the shoulder, but being quite aggressive with it. And the referee noticed it. And the referee gave a warning. Then, on the second occasion, took a point. Was that harsh? Maybe, but was Rozicki making it messy? Absolutely. This fight had that old school feeling where skill and chaos were colliding. They were colliding every second in a very dangerous fight. Now, in round 3, Smith hurt Rozicki, and this is where the fight became fascinating. Why did it become fascinating? Because most fighters respond to being hurt by backing away, by holding, or trying to recover. So these are the 3 things that genuinely you do. However, Rozicki did the absolute opposite. I mean, he is very, very courageous. He kept throwing punches and he kept marching forward. He kept taking risks. And that tells you something about his character. This man is genuinely brave, especially under that kind of fire. Now, Smith, in fairness, was doing clever work. He was utilizing his boxing IQ. He was also using the half step, making Rozicki fall short, and then finding those counter-punching windows, which was really important in this fight. And there was a clear identity in this fight. Rozicki was the fighter, and Smith was the intelligent boxer. That was the narrative bias. One man was trying to break the door down. The other man was trying to punish him, and that contrast was compelling, stylistically speaking. And Smith was walking Rozicki into punches, but Rozicki just absorbed them. So Smith kept walking him in, and Rozicki kept absorbing. And that was the problem. Smith was landing good counters, but Rozicki's chin, it was out of this world. It was ridiculous. His volume was very difficult to manage. Smith could not really get the jab into play because Rozicki kept closing the distance. Every time Smith wanted space, Rozicki was already back in his chest again with zero respect, time and time again. And through pure will, and it was pure will, Rozicki started finding that left hook. He was pushing Smith onto the ropes. And Rozicki was cut over both eyes at this point. He was breathing heavily. He looked damaged, but despite breathing heavily and despite looking damaged, he just kept throwing. How many punches was this man throwing per round? Because it felt endless. It felt exhausting just watching it. And this is what makes fighters dangerous, because will can break structure under pressure. And in a sense, Rozicki was just exploding. He was exploding with punches, and Smith was trying to remain composed. And it's hard to remain composed under those circumstances. But Smith was putting his head on the front foot. He did that temporarily, and Rozicki made the adjustments and found the uppercuts. That was dangerous. Still, Smith was landing very hard counters, finding those counter-punching windows. The problem was they were bouncing off Rozicki's chin at this point. And you had to ask yourself, what stops this man when he refuses to fall? And round 6, again, was a war. The intensity was off the charts, completely off the charts. Both men were warriors, truly warriors. Smith was showing good boxing discipline, landing the right hand and then catching the counter left. That is part of the boxing science, but he was still struggling to control the distance. He tried using the left hand to measure range, but Rozicki's pressure kept disrupting everything, and he was building, it seemed, round after round. At the end of round 7, Smith landed some big right hands, really big right hands, and somehow Rozicki took them. But just like that, on the stall, the fight was stopped. It's important to note here that this fight was incredible. Truly incredible. Maybe, just maybe, this will be the fight of the year. And on a Zuffa boxing card with Dana White present, that absolutely matters. And if Zuffa keeps bringing entertainment like this, boxing may have a new serious contender. Now, it's important to mention that both warriors will have options. They will have options moving forward. Billam Smith will naturally look for some bigger fights and some bigger paydays, but his opponent will have a great opportunity to rebuild because he was victorious in his loss because of the nature of his performance. And many people won here. Billam Smith won, Zuffa Boxing won, Rozicki won, and the boxing fans won. I think there are some legitimate questions here. For example, can Zuffa Boxing make an impact within the British boxing context? Is the juice worth the squeeze? Can Billam Smith compete and beat elite boxers in the division? And did Rozicki reveal a blueprint on how to beat Billam Smith? Or was he just a hard competitor? On top of that, what does the future hold for Rozicki in boxing? His performance, when we talk about his performance, it was passionate, it was courageous. And finally, it will be interesting to see how Zuffa Boxing will move in the British boxing landscape. So that's the end of the video. Now I'm trying to build a digital boxing community. That means I'm interested in your comments, I'm interested in your questions, and I'm interested in your observations. Now, if you want to support the channel, simply like and subscribe. And if you want to watch more content, then simply click here or click here. As always, thanks for your time. It is much appreciated.